All right, time for you to do your job. Mission Impossible. Let's do this. Well, we have another Mission Impossible movie, and to be specific, I just saw the 8th Mission Impossible movie. So I guess they should change the name to Mission Possible. Yeah, I know. I stole that joke from basically everyone. So, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. This film just came out, so I will do my spoiler review later. This movie is directed by Christopher McQuarrie? Christopher also directed the last 3 Mission Impossible films, which is pretty interesting to me, and I'll explain why later. The premise of this film is something that I actually thought was original. We have Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, running and hiding from the IMF, Impossible Mission Force, as they are searching for him and want to bring him into custody. Does that sound familiar? Well, it should. And if it doesn't, you need to catch up. Okay, but the premise beyond the regular premise is intriguing. We have Tom Cruise going back up against the Entity, the artificial intelligence villain from the previous film, Dead Reckoning, and we see Tom Cruise and the team try to stop this entity from bettering the world by destroying it. That's always the best way to improve things. Just kill everybody, or kill half. Thanos. We also have Gabriel back, played by Esai Morales, who is up to no good as he battles Ethan Hunt for control of the Entity. This film is interesting in the fact that it and its predecessor, Dead Reckoning, are a part 1, part 2 series. I mean, sure, we can say that each Mission Impossible is part of the series. You have part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But Dead Reckoning was the first one where the good guys hadn't won by the end, and there was a big cliffhanger. So here we are at part 2. Overall, guys, I'll be honest, this was not the greatest Mission Impossible film. I went in with really high expectations, and this is one of those times where sadly they were not met. I'm not saying it was a bad film by any means. I have no regrets watching it. There are some fun times and some heavy emotional moments, and of course some really good action scenes. And I'm all about action. My main issue is, wow, it felt so drawn out. I mean, sure, I get you'd expect that from a 3-hour movie. Well, 2 hours and 50 minutes to be exact. But that is not the reason here. I mean, I love long movies. Endgame was long, the Avatar movies have been long, Oppenheimer is long, but Final Reckoning was just slow. It starts out really intense. First 10 minutes, I was like, wow, here we go. And then, as one of my coworkers said, I could have taken a nap for a lot of the movie. When I think of Mission Impossible Fallout, which in my opinion is the peak of the series, it has a lot of action, it is super fast paced, and it feels like what a Mission Impossible movie is supposed to be. So for example, let's say Fallout had a dozen action scenes. They're probably each like 2 or 3 minutes, super intense, awesome. Okay, maybe not 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just giving an example here. Lay off. But these dozen action scenes would all be super fast, awesome, and pretty amazing. Whereas Final Reckoning feels like there's 4 action scenes and they each go for 15 or 20 minutes at a much slower pace. Okay, I get it, there's probably more than 4 action scenes. Probably not as long as 20 minutes. Back off. I'm trying my best. Just giving you an example of how it felt. I think they're trying to do something different in Dead Reckoning and in this final film. Maybe they're trying to make it more immersive, make you feel like into the moment, which to a point, there were times I felt claustrophobic or it was intense, but just slow. And I like action because I know action. And I would say they missed the mark with this one. So not amazing, but what they had to pull off multiple times did feel impossible. So the name still fits. On some high notes, we had an awesome team in this film as usual. We had some classic characters returning. We had Benji, we had Luther, and Grace, played by Haley Atwell, who was new in the last film. And she is sort of Ethan's love interest, because reasons. I mean, why not, I guess. Then we are joined by enemy turned teammate Paris, played by Pom Klementieff. And then our last new teammate is Theo, played by Greg Tarzan Davis. The guy has like 3 names. Greg, Tarzan, Davis. But one of those names is awesome. Sorry, Greg, but I'm not referring to Greg. But Tarzan for a middle name? Guys, I didn't even practice that. First try. Well, I think it's pretty cool that Tom Cruise liked him so much in Top Gun Maverick that he said, hey, Tarzan, because we're not calling you Greg, come on over. Join the Mission Possible team. Then we got Gabriel, one of our 2 main baddies, and he's a fun villain. I mean, I think there's been better villains in the series, but he does a good job, though he was a lot more threatening in the first one. Probably because he had the Entity with him the whole time. But then again, I do not know a villain in the Mission Impossible series that has done more damage to the team. And guys, if you've only seen part 1, you only know the half of it. I also want to call out Angela Bassett as Erica Sloane. Bassett? The once CIA director, now turned president. Good job, Erica. Way to be our first official woman president. In film, but still a win. This woman makes you feel intimidated. I mean, honestly. The emotions she shows on her face, now that is acting. And trust me, I know acting. I myself have done some background acting. What's that? You want me to cry on cue? Who's in the well, lassie? Not Uncle Tom. Okay, like I said, it was background acting. It looks pretty good from far away. Back off! And of course we have Ethan Hunt, played by good old Tom Cruise. Does this guy age? I mean, sure, yeah, he has a few more wrinkles, his hair's a little lighter brown, but come on! My grandparents looked older than him at 40. Then again, everyone back then did. Perms were definitely in for the women. No judgment. A little judgment. Love you, Grandma. Love you, Mima. But Tom looks great as usual. And guess what? He runs really, really fast. Many times. And at times, he probably just could have taken an Uber. But hey, but fast running trumps Ubers. But guys, it sounds like this is his last movie in the franchise. Until they make another one. Because he wants more money. Or the studio wants more money. They're gonna make you do this till you're 90, Tom. Overall, I do think this is a fun film to watch. Do you need to go to the theater? No. But will you regret going to the theater? I didn't, but if you don't like long movies, you might. So I've been fighting on what score to give this film, but I think I'm gonna have to give it a 6.5 out of 10. See? Right there? Yeah, I know it's hard to read. My Sharpie's dying. Give me a break. You try writing on toilet paper. A 6 just felt too low, and mind you, a 6 isn't bad. People always say, Zach, a 6, really? 6 is above average, and that's how I feel. But a 6 was too low. 7 just felt a little too high, based on the reasons I shared. So we're gonna sit with a 6.5. And nope, this movie is not flushable. If you made it this far into the review, please comment what you thought of the film, or if you're gonna see it, or any other wild thought you have. And remember, if you like movies and you like bathrooms, click below for more of both.